Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Patty Dorn with the Maryland Insurance Administration. Welcome to today's lunch with Mia. The topic, are you a homeowner or renter in need of assistance? So for today's event, we've brought together several agencies to help homeowners and renters who may be in need of resources gather the information about programs that are available to help with utilities and home repairs, and also programs that are available to help with making your home more energy efficient. We have the Habitat for Humanity Metro Maryland here today, the Maryland Department of Human Services, the Maryland Office of People's Counsel, and the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. Before we get started, I just want to do a quick poll just to see how we all got here today. And that helps us with marketing these events in the future. So that's going to show up on your screen, although some of you might not see it depending on the version of Zoom that you are using. If you don't see it, if you feel like putting in the chat how you got here, that would be appreciated. If you're on the phone, obviously you're not going to see it either.
Feedback. I don't see feedback.
So thanks for everybody answering that poll. I'm just gonna talk about some housekeeping rules. This event is being recorded. So that's just an FYI to you, so you know that. Please leave your phones and your computers on mute. And if you're not presenting, if you could keep your camera off today. If you have questions for today's speakers, please use the chat box and make sure that the questions are sent to everyone. So in the chat, you can choose everyone. That should be the default. So make sure that you send your questions to everyone and not the speaker or the host. We're going to save the questions for the end and we're going to do a Q&A session. I just want to do a FYI right now. So just for your information, we do have 4 speakers today and each one's going to talk for approximately 10 minutes. So we have an hour for the event. We might have more questions than we can get to in the Q&A period. And so during the Q&A session, everyone's going to post their email addresses. And I do recommend that you jot those down in case you have questions that don't get answered during this session, or you just have questions in the future. So thank you everybody for being here today for this. For our first presenter, we have China Diaz from Habitat for Humanity, Metro Maryland. Welcome, China.
Hi, everyone. I am going to be presenting some of our repair programs, and my colleague Kat is also gonna kind of hop in. So whenever we are ready to go. Okay. So again, Habitat for Humanity Metro Maryland, and we're just going to give you a rundown on some of our programs today. So one of our main programs that most folks, I think, generally think of when they look at Habitat is our home purchase program. This is the traditional idea of a developer, a builder, lender, the client from the beginning to the end. I think a lot of the time when folks look at our advertisements, they see this picture. We also have home repair programs, and we'll touch on that a little bit after this. So in this program, there is a 30-year 0% interest mortgage. And when we sell these houses, sometimes they're rehab, sometimes they're just a property that we got. We don't sell them for more than what their value is. We try to keep housing affordable for folks in the community. So this is our way of making sure that this is accessible to everyone. We have the idea of sweat equity, which is just helping out during the construction and making sure that, you know, sometimes there are limited funds. So kind of adding that contribution, it's a way to kind of balance out the cost, whether there's repairs or a rehab. Folks are also required to do workshops, and that's, again, to inform folks, to teach them about the process of home ownership, which can be a little confusing. So it just helps inform folks to kind of know what they're getting into and what to look out for. And again, these projects can be new construction or rehabs. And so to get information on these, you would just go on our website and to fill out, it's like a document that just asks questions, and you would, it's basically an inquiry, and you submit it and it'll go on to our home purchase program person's end, and they would put you on a list. And so you would receive information on when the properties are available, when the applications are available, and when you should turn them in. So for our repair and weatherization programs, I'm just going to go over what program services we have available and which ones are not considered. So generally we do roof repairs and replacements, and this is repair and replacements for most health and safety related needs. So we have a water heater, zero-step entry solutions, porch repairs, drywall repairs, plumbing repairs, electrical repairs, or accessible bathroom modifications. For zero entry step solutions, if you think of a home that has, in order to get inside, you have to go up some stairs. Think of solutions that are kind of like ramps, or kind of like decreasing the stairs and making it so that someone could kind of just like walk in gradually. This is an accessibility modification. We also do stair lifts, and we try to make sure that we address most of the accessibility modifications necessary. A lot of the times we have an occupational therapist who goes out and does the assessments for us. They're a lot more well-versed in this stuff, so we defer to them in these times. And so for our services that are not considered are any foundational repairs, mold treatments, window replacements, additions, renovations, or cosmetic improvements. And this is because generally the program is, it's there to kind of assess the health and safety needs of folks, and making sure that, one, that home ownership is accessible, but also home maintenance is done correctly, and that folks can kind of preserve their homes and pass this information along, or pass their homes along to their families or to whomever. When it comes to the services that we don't consider, like the renovations and cosmetic improvements, that's generally because they're very costly. And again, we try to focus on the health and safety needs of folks. Someone asked a question about the homes, the services. And no, these homes are for anyone who owns homes in Prince George's and Montgomery County. So for our general home repair program, our typical budget is up to $15,000. This can address almost all the areas of the home, like the basement, the kitchen, rooms, bathrooms, some exterior parts of the home. Again, and this is going to be a common theme, is that we can't address mold or foundation issues. And so this funding is what we call unrestricted. So there's no special criteria for this program. There are some of our programs like the vet repairs where it's a requirement to be a veteran. And again, these programs are for Montgomery County and PG County, or Prince George's County. And we do have a repayment fee that's 1 to 5% of the total cost of the project, with the minimum being $125. And that's really based off of your income. And we know that that's a lot more affordable, and that's why we just ask for a small repayment.
All right, to get into our weatherization program a little bit, basically this is kind of looking at how to reduce energy usage in the home. It kind of deals with sealing the home. So, you know, in the winter, you want the hot air in. in the summer, you want the cold air in. And it just kind of deals with making sure that the home is able to keep energy efficient. So to do that, we will sometimes replace appliances or work on the home's envelope. And that's kind of what I meant by the energy seal. It's just kind of a way to make sure that the home is staying cool when needed and staying hot when needed. And yeah, that is our weatherization program. For the veteran repair program, this is for people who have been or who have served in the armed forces. It is for both Montgomery and Prince George's County. This one does have a repayment, and that is 1 to 5% of the total project costs, or a minimum of $125. Again, this program cannot address like any foundational or mold issues or anything that's more of a cosmetic nature. Things, again, for this program have to be health and safety related, but it will do things like the repair program, as China was saying, something like a roof repair or accessibility modifications, that kind of thing. RAMP is another accessibility focused program that we run. So as it says here, it can be paired with the repair and weatherization funds, or it can be something done just on its own. But basically it kind of deals with health and safety concerns. And I saw this phrasing in someone's question. It does kind of deal with aging in place. For RAMP, it is again Montgomery County and PG County, Prince George's County specific. The repayment is 1 to 5% of the total project costs, or again, a minimum of $125. But some examples of things we've done in the past are the grab bars for the bathrooms, or as China was saying, the 0-step entry, like, a ramp entry, or a chairlift or tub cuts for those who need bathroom modifications, that kind of thing. HOP is one of the newer programs we're running, and this is in something that is just in Prince George's County. To be eligible for this program, you have to be within a qualified census tract, which we would verify when you submit your inquiry. We look and see where the home is located and make sure that it's located within the QCT or within 1 mile of a future Purple Line stop. And that is something that has been dictated by the funding requirements of this grant. We have to make sure that we're serving within these areas specifically. You have to have lived within the home for at least 1 year prior to applying, and we give priority to those who have been in the home for at least 7 years. You have to have proof of homeowner's insurance. And I also saw a question relating to the income requirements. This is for most of our programs. It's less than 80% of the uncapped AMI, priority to households under 50% of the area median income. And that information is available on our website. When you submit an inquiry, you can check where you are within that. You have to have demonstrable need for repairs, accessibility modifications, and or weatherization. And you have to commit to living within the home for a minimum of 5 years after the work is completed. So you basically sign a document just saying that you intend to continue staying in that home once the work is done. But this program does not have a repayment, unlike some of our other programs. MISEEP is our program that just runs in Montgomery County. This is focused on energy efficiency. So we go in and we do things like replacing appliances. As this says, it has to be 10 years or older, or a specific energy efficiency level. You have to have Pepco or Washington Gas as your utility provider. Some other things we do for this program include things like attic insulation, HVAC systems, air conditioning, that kind of thing. And with this program, it is another one that is free of charge. For the process, and I'll just go about this really fast, just so you kind of have a basic understanding of how our programs work. To start, you submit an inquiry on our website, and I will be putting information in the chat after we are done speaking, including flyers for our programs. and our website link, but you go onto the website, it has the list of programs. You can click through, see what you're interested in, and you submit an inquiry. Once you're on our inquiry list, you can be there for a bit of time. It sometimes is a large chunk of time between the submitting of an inquiry and actually getting an application for our programs. But the thing about being on the inquiry list is once we have funds that are available related to the nature of the home's need, available within that area, that kind of thing, we will send you an application. But it's just kind of a waiting game of, do we have the funds available related to the home's need and within that area specifically. Once your application is complete, then we come out and depending on various factors from the application, we will do a home visit. Excuse me. On that home visit, we basically come through, we take pictures and write notes about the work you want done. With the home visit, it's not necessarily a commitment for any work to be done. It's just us gathering information to see if we would be able to do that work. Then we come back, we go over everything with our team. We release the information to our contractors that we work with for estimates. And these are local contractors around the area that we work with pretty regularly. Excuse me again. They go in and they will kind of see how much the work will cost. They report back to us and we kind of have a little bit of a thing going on where we're, all communicating about the work, the price and that kind of thing. And at the end of it, we come up with a work agreement where we have all the items that we will agree to do. And once all of that is signed and ready to go, we actually start implementing the work. I will say, though, this process does take time sometimes from the submission of an inquiry to the application getting sent out to the estimates going through. It's not an immediate thing. It's a very full, comprehensive process with lots of steps.
Thanks so much, Kat and China as well. Our next speaker is Chantel Malcolm from the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development.
Hello, everyone. Hi, good morning. Oh, good afternoon. Are you hearing me well? Yes. Okay, great. So my name is Chantel Malcolm. I work for the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. I'm a community engagement liaison, and I'm going to speak with you a bit about our housing rehabilitation and energy efficiency programs. Now, there are a number of energy efficiency programs, and it can feel a bit overwhelming. So what I would recommend is that I know you will have questions, but as was stated before, we can save them until the end. And for specific personal related questions, I'm going to be sharing my email address so that you can always reach out to me. So we're going to start off with the housing rehabilitation program, and it's called Whole Home. And the premise of Whole Home is essentially to bring properties up to applicable building codes and standards, and that's really what puts the whole in Whole Home. Moving on to the next slide, we'll talk about the eligibility in terms of the type of housing that we bring up the code. So starting with the single family owner occupied homes, and then we also do rental housing between 1 to 4 units, and for that funding restrictions will apply. Moving on to the next slide, we'll talk about eligible applicants for this category. So single family owner occupied, and the occupants of this single family household may not exceed 80% of the area median income. Now, if you have more questions on the area median income, there is a table that shows the breakdown of that on the DHCD website, which is dhcd.maryland.gov. I'm going to be saying the name of the website quite often throughout the presentation. So if you didn't get a chance to write it down at that point, you'll catch it again. So the interest rates vary based on the applicant's ability to pay. And we're going to talk about applicants' ability to pay and that kind of how we determine that later on in the slide. So deferred loans are also available to some borrowers who may require health, safety, or accessibility improvements. Moving on to the next slide. This is just showing you essentially what it would look like on our website, the area median income graph that we have. And I think this was last updated in August 1st, 2021. Moving on to the next slide, talking about whole home again. So the loans will have a minimum of 20 years and a maximum of 30 years, and the rates are adjusted for affordability. As it relates to grants, they're more targeted towards our seniors of 55 years or older, and they're mostly targeted towards accessibility repairs. There's also a grant for lead remediation, and this is specifically in targeted areas. As it relates to targeted areas, there is an entire list of targeted areas that we focus on the DHCD website, which is once again, dhcd.maryland.gov. So moving on to the next slide with whole home, we're talking about affordability. So this is essentially an assessment that is done by a lender to review how much you earn and then how much you spend on your bills and other regular payments. And then that would kind of determine the parameters for the loan. Lead remediation now is the process by which a property undergoes work to reduce lead hazards. The property is then, deemed clear, and that essentially means that it is lead safe. And these are some of the categories that we look for in terms of making a home lead safe. So we can go to the next slide and talk about loan terms. So our interest rates are tenant-based, and it's based on projected income and your ability to repay the loan, like I had said before. Now, loans in excess of $5,000 fall under, so essentially, if we deem that whatever it is that needs to be done is more than $5,000, it goes into a deferred payment or it's secured by a mortgage, kind of like the loan. And then the maximum loan term would then be 30 years. 50% of the area median income may defer payments for project feasibility if necessary. Anything less than $5,000 is handled on a case-by-case basis, meaning if we assess your home and see that there is an issue that only needs $4,000 in reality to be fixed, we'll handle it on a case-by-case basis to see how best to manage the repayment process. Continuing with the loan terms again. So in essence, next slide. Thank you. So in essence, your loan term should accomplish the following things. It should correct exterior or interior deficiencies, make accessibility modifications, fix any health or safety violations, improve weatherization and energy conservation, or correct any lead-based paint violations. Continuing on to the next slide. Some of the general improvements that are eligible for financing after renovation of the property include small additions or alterations, carpeting, fencing, landscaping, kitchen remodeling, bathroom and closet remodeling as well. But once again, they have to fall within a specific category of need for us to go in and do these remodeling. So why improve your home? For safety, of course, for enjoyment, and to accommodate lifestyle needs. Next slide. The whole home can also aid with porches and roofs to bring them up to code or safety standards. Now, what we don't cover are luxury items such as swimming pools or recreational facilities such as home gyms. Sorry, they're just not eligible for whole home. And how you can apply to whole home. Wow, hard to say. Now, all loan requests are processed by local governments for properties within their jurisdiction. And if you're interested, first, you need to contact your local housing office within your jurisdiction. And then the second thing to do would be to contact the special loan programs department within that housing office. So for us, it's the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development, and the address and information is there. So we can just hover on this slide for those of you who might need to scribble that down really quickly. If you didn't get it, don't worry, I'll ensure that it's sent to you. Moving on to the next slide. So this right here shows essentially the local contacts by county. And this is also on our DHCD website. So if you don't see your county here, it's fine. You can go on the DHCD website and you will have a wealth of information there, and it will definitely point you in the right direction and tell you where to start. Moving on to the next slide. This is just a little, it's a little, I guess, a testimonial from someone who used the rehabilitation program. And since we don't have too long to linger on that, let's just say she was very satisfied with the work that was done. So we're moving on into energy efficiency. So our program's purpose is really to reduce energy costs for you, the homeowner, and to improve commercial and energy efficiency costs for small businesses as well. We also want to create a positive economic, environmental, and social impact. And how do we go about doing this now? We do this through home improvements that are intended to reduce a building's energy use and lower utility bills. Next slide. So we offer programs that provide over about $22.7 million to homeowners of all income levels with the resources to improve their home's energy efficiency levels. And our programs help with insulation, hot water systems, furnace repairs, renewable energy systems, and health and safety enhancements. So other things that our energy efficiency programs offer include affordable multifamily rental properties. And we also, which is interesting, offer outreach and training to contractors who want to learn more about these energy efficiency strategies. So that's a really unique resource that if you are indeed a contractor and you want to sort of partner with DHCD in that way, there is a contractor training program on our website that you can find out more about by visiting dhcd.maryland.gov. And this is just some of the typical weatherization measures that we install. I know it's kind of small, you might not be able to see it pretty clearly, but it is a lot. We do cover a lot. Moving on to the next slide, we'll talk about our grant programs. The first one we're going to talk about is LEAP, which is Empower. So the Empower program helps limited income households with installation of materials and equipment at no charge. Now, with LEAP, to be eligible, you need to meet income qualifications, of course, and be an eligible utility customer. So some of the companies that we work with that you must have an account with: BGE, Delmarva Power, First Energy, Pepco, and you can see the other two that are there. So moving on to the next slide. Some of the improvements that we do under LEAP: energy efficiency upgrades, seal air leaks, insulation in attic floors and walls, hot water system improvements, lighting retrofits, hot water conservation measures, and other health and safety measures as well. And this is just an example of one of our trained contractors doing one of the remodelings on a house. And this is another example of what LEAP was used for. And it's the first image that you see was a typical crawl space, and the insulation was saturated with ground moisture. And so in the bottom photo, we had to have it re-insulated, dried, and install a reflective vapor barrier to preserve the insulation. Next slide, we'll talk about our multifamily energy efficiency Mihawk program. Since its inception in 2009, we have given out over $64 million in funding across 132 properties and over 11,000 units. Now, these are for affordable multifamily properties, and we're really trying to reduce the building's energy use for occupants, for not just the occupants, but their owners as well. Moving on to the next slide. So owners and managers, so who qualifies for this? Owners and managers of affordable multifamily rental properties. So if you are, there's definitely more information on the Mihawk program on our website that you can tap into. And they need to have at least 5 units. Now, most projects serve households at or below 60% of the area median income, and affordability includes both rental limitations and limitations on the income level of occupant households. Now, the properties need to be individually metered, meaning that each tenant holds an active resident account with either BGE, Pepco, Delmarva, Potomac Edison, or SMECO. So moving on to the next slide, we're talking about our loan programs. The first thing we're going to talk about is the net zero program. Now, what net zero specifically relates to a bigger thing. The bigger picture is an actual home. So what is a net zero home? It's essentially a building where the total amount of energy used by the building on an annual basis is equal to the amount of renewable energy created on the site. Now we provide energy efficiency home construction loan, which is a part of the net zero program for architectural and engineering design, property acquisition, and construction costs. So if it is that you plan to build essentially a smart home or something that's more, not necessarily a smart home, but a net zero home that is more energy efficient, you need architectural or engineering design to put it all together, you can apply for the loan through the net zero program. And this is an example of one, Perry Point Veterans Village. It's in Cecil County. It has 75 units and their project budget size was 26 million. And through the loan, they were able to get $1.4 million. So that was just one example. We're moving on to the Be Smart Home Loan Program. It provides financing to improve the energy efficiency and comfort of your home. It replaces and upgrades your appliances that relate to heating, ventilation, cooling, and just envelopes the entire household. And here is a long list of the improvements that would be recommended to us by a certified energy auditor. So we're going to move to the next slide and we talk about the auditor, right? So essentially, in order to qualify for this loan, well, I'll get there after this slide. So the main points of eligibility, right? You have to have a credit score of 640 or higher. Your debt to income ratio of up to 50%, it should be of up to 50% or less. And for the loan term, you can get up to $30,000 and it's a 10-year loan term. And of course, like I said before, the energy audit is required. Now, if you need to find an auditor to come to your house and do the energy audit, we have resources on our website that would point you in the right direction to finding an auditor for this purpose. Moving on to the next slide. So these are the steps of getting a Be Smart home loan. You submit the application, which is on our website, and then you submit the project specifications, which would include the energy audit completed by a Building Performance Institute certified auditor. Then you would complete your loan documents, and once you've gotten through, you'd complete your project, and then you'd get a final inspection done by a DHCD quality assurance inspector. Moving on to the next slide. So we're going to linger here so everyone can sort of write down these telephone numbers if it is that they have any further questions on a specific program and their specific situation, and to find out how they qualify. You can contact us, call our call center. The number's right there. And if you have inquiries about current or past work, you can call our in-house service team at the number that's right there on the screen as well. And this is a very important slide, the last one, that I will try to get to you as well. It has essentially the links for each of the programs that we discussed today. And that is the end of my presentation. On the last slide are our social media pages, dhcd.maryland.gov. Once again, and you can connect with us on Facebook and Twitter. We're very responsive, so don't be shy to reach out on Facebook at Maryland Housing and Twitter at MD Housing. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Thanks, Chantal. Next up is Lauren Molyneux with the Maryland Department of Human Services.
Good afternoon. My name is Lauren Molyneux, and I am the Director of the Office of Home Energy Programs within Maryland's Department of Human Services. Thank you for having me here today. So our office mission is to provide assistance to low-income households in the form of energy bill assistance, whether that's an electric or heating bill. The goal here is to make energy costs more affordable, and then also to make sure that we're preventing loss of services and restoration in the event that somebody's services are already disconnected when they come to our doors. Next slide, please. So how do we do that? We have a couple of different programs. Historically, we have only focused on energy assistance, so our electric bill or heating bill assistance. But thanks to the American Rescue Plan Act and the Consolidated Appropriations Act, we're also rolling out water assistance. So if somebody has trouble with their water bill, we're able to assist with that as well. We continue to do electric and heating. also while we're doing this. So what does that look like? What does making your bill more affordable look like? We can address arrearages. We can place a hold on an account. We can work with the utility to make sure that if somebody has a pending application, their services aren't turned off. We can work on crisis fuel deliveries. And then in the event that you are perhaps over income for one of our programs, we can make a referral to the fuel fund. We can also connect you with other resources such as the emergency assistance for families with children. Some of the programs that you just heard our partners over at DHCD talk about. And then of course, other partner organizations that might be able to fill a need or a gap that we are unable to do through the traditional bill assistance programs. I just want to make a little bit of a PSA because we hear this a lot, that a termination notice is needed to receive assistance. That is not true. Those are actually handled differently, but you do not need to wait until you're getting that turn-off notice to come to us to seek assistance. Go ahead, next slide. Thank you. So this is a look at what are our current energy assistance programs. I've divided it up to what is energy assistance and then water assistance, which we'll get to in a bit. So we've got 4 different types of direct benefit for energy assistance. Your MEP and EUSP, so you've got Maryland Energy Assistance Program and the Electric Universal Service Program. These are each annual grants, so you will receive 1 grant amount per program year, and then that grant amount is divided up over the course of 12 months. So you're seeing that on your bill each month. There are a couple different requirements. MEP is a federal program and EUSP is a ratepayer program. So everybody who pays an electric bill in Maryland, you're paying into the EUSP program. MEP is a little bit different. It's an entitlement program, so that is funded differently through a federal block grant. You can take a look at how the benefit is conveyed over to your supplier. These are benefits that are provided to your utility or to the fuel supplier. They are not provided to the applicant. There are very rare situations where that would be the case. Of course, sometimes that happens, but it's a very rare situation where that happens. When you come to apply, you're also welcome to apply for arrearage retirement assistance, and that's either through gas arrearage retirement or electric arrearage retirement. They are listed on this sheet as well. They're a little bit different. I actually have to update this. The frequency of the grants is every 7 years. That has changed. You can get that every 5 years. With I think 2 years during the pandemic are excluded from that 5-year bar. So I will recirculate slides that need to be updated. Apologies, to make sure that that 5-year is accurately reflected. There are caps in that you can get up to $2,000 for the arrearage, and how those programs are funded are also listed at the bottom in case you're interested in that. Go ahead and hit next slide. These are the income eligibility guidelines for our programs. So for EUSP, that is statutorily regulated within the state of Maryland at 175% of the federal poverty level. Otherwise, our MEP benefits are 60% of the average median income in the state of Maryland. You can go ahead and hit next slide. I'm going to talk a little bit about our water program. This is a new program that I talked about. It is a one-time program insofar as that our federal partners have only funded this for 1 year. So if anybody is in the world of advocating for additional funds, any assistance we can get in advocating for the need that comes along with this program. There's a very great need in the state of Maryland that we have discovered as we have began implementing this program as it relates to existing water arrearages. So this program, because it is a one-time occurrence, we're doing a one-time benefit amount of $100 to $2,000, and we are paying that towards residential water or wastewater accounts. One of the challenges with this program is that statewide, there is very little regulation like there is in energy. So we have different billing cycles, different measurements of the bill, different usage amounts that are displayed on the bill. So it makes it a little bit tricky. Something to think about if we look at a long-term program here. So right now we're focusing on getting those arrearages down and addressing those customers who are facing potential shutoff or disconnection. Of course, we wouldn't see that for wastewater, but water in some places we do. We want to make sure that we are conveying benefits to folks who would then be placed into good standing. So as you notice, there is a $2,000 cap on the benefit amount, and I used to be a Baltimore City resident. I know that's a really easy example that you can very quickly get a water bill over $2,000 in a matter of months. So what we ask in the event that $2,000 doesn't get you to good standing is leveraging other resources. Certain municipalities and local areas have payment plans or other assistance programs that you can use in tandem to get you into that good standing consideration, so we can issue that $2,000 benefit. Next slide. So because this is a new program, we've been very cautious in how we have been rolling this out to make sure that everybody is comfortable with the application process. You can access that application the same way that you would through our energy assistance application. The program is currently accepting applications, and we are hoping to conduct a rather robust outreach campaign in the next week or so. So you will probably hear more about it. But in the event that you are aware of somebody who is in need of water assistance benefits, feel free to direct them to our OHEP website or to our MyMDThink website. A little bit more information about that on the next slide. So you can either access our paper application that's on our website, or you can also go to MyMDThink, and I think that's on the next slide, but you can hold on this slide for a second, where you can apply for LIHEAP, energy assistance, water assistance, and of course, any other programs that the department administers, such as food stamps or otherwise in a SNAP, TCA, child support, etc. So all of the resources that you could access through the department are all on that MyMDThink website as well. If you want to go ahead and hit next slide. This is my contact information. And then of course, my deputy director, Emily, she oversees the water program. They all fall within our Office of Home Energy Programs. But if you have any specific questions about either of the programs, feel free to send them my way. You can send us an email or get us on our phone numbers. Excuse me.
Thanks, Lauren. Next up is Brandy Nyland from the Maryland's Office of People's Counsel.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brandy. I actually put my contact information up in the chat. I gave the general email address because it is just easier to reach that way. We're a very small staff, and also a link to a medical certification form that I'm going to talk about here today. So kind of what is the Office of People's Counsel? Like I said, we're pretty small, so not everybody knows that we are a resource. It is a state agency. We're independent. There are 20 of us, and generally we represent Maryland's residential consumers of electric, natural gas, private water, and then certain telecommunications and transportation. The office itself is made up of about half of us are attorneys, and then some support staff, and then our consumer assistance unit. When I say that we represent Maryland's residential consumers of electric, natural gas, private water, telecommunications, and transportation, that's generally when we talk about going in front of the Public Service Commission or FERC, something like that. Kind of as an example, to give a real life kind of example, would be, let's say the utility company wants to raise rates. Our office would be there kind of representing you, the utility customer, in that discussion. And then, like I said, we also have the consumer assistance unit, and that is where we work more one-on-one with individuals, and where I work kind of focusing on, if you can actually go to the next slide, confusing or complex utility situations that you're kind of just not sure what to do with, and your utility company isn't working with you, or maybe you feel like your rights are being disrespected by your utility company. Maybe you're struggling to pay your utility bills, and we would connect you with some of the programs that have been spoken about today, or maybe you've already tried to connect with those programs, but you're kind of having problems getting through the process. We can, in some cases, if there's serious medical issues in the home, perhaps help you expedite your applications through what Lauren was just talking about. We can sometimes negotiate or advocate on your behalf to your utility company. We can talk through issues that you might be experiencing with a retail or a third-party supplier, or how to make a complaint against a utility or a third-party supplier. And then we can provide you with other information about other resources in the community if maybe our office doesn't cover those. Next slide. I also want to kind of just shoot people over to our website if you have a chance. There's a lot of information on there that we keep pretty updated about consumer protection information, those retail supplier information. There are resource guides that go pretty in depth about the process and kind of what to do, step 1, 2, 3, 4 for financial assistance, any kind of remaining COVID-19 specific information, and then an energy assistance toolkit, including videos on how to get some of those financial resources that have been talked about today. Next slide. I did want to kind of give people an update about kind of some protections that are still in place as it relates to COVID-19, and some of those rules that are not typically in place that apply to you right now. If you are finding yourself not being able to pay your utility bill and you expect to get a turnoff notice, that turnoff notice is typically only 14 days, but right now it still stands at 45 days in advance. So when you get that turnoff notice, it should be a 45-day advance notice. Now, for those who have been certified as eligible, so you've gone through the process that Lauren had described through the Office of Home Energy Programs, the utility company must give you up to a repayment plan of 24 months if you would like one. Like I said, you would want to call and request that. Now, if you haven't gone through OHEP or you aren't eligible for OHEP, everybody is eligible right now for a minimum repayment plan of 12 months if you're getting behind on your bills. Typically, these are not the numbers that we see as it relates to repayment plans. So 12 months for kind of everybody. And if you have gone through OHEP, 24 months. Now, they can't request any money down. Now, they can ask for it, but they can't require it, excuse me. So when you call and let's say you want that 24-month repayment plan, and they say, well, we'll like X money down for you to enter that repayment plan. You can say, I don't have that, and I would like to have no money down. And they can't stop you from doing that. So right now you can enter a repayment plan with no money down. Just as an aside, if you run into any issues with that or find that you're not able to enter into that repayment plan with zero money down, give us a call at our office because that would be an issue because these are currently rights that you have. And the utility cannot refuse a payment plan because you previously defaulted on one in the past 18 months. Now, that's normally the rule. So normally if you enter into a payment plan and then you don't follow through with that payment plan, they don't have to allow a second payment plan. But in this case, they do. Now, if you default on a second one, they don't have to offer you a third, but it does buy you one extra one. And again, if you're running into issues, please let our office know. Now, I put the Office of Attorney General's number on here just because if you're experiencing issues with things outside of what we cover, there's a really good chance that the Office of Attorney General covers those issues. So things like your cable provider, stuff like that. So if you're running into things outside of what we cover, the Office of Attorney General is a pretty good place to start, but you can also just call us and we can point you in the right direction. Next slide. So I did want to point out some other assistance that we haven't talked about today. The Fuel Fund of Maryland, they're a nonprofit. Now they cover the BGE territory for your gas and electric bills. So kind of that financial assistance. Everywhere else in the state, they cover bulk fuel. So propane, oil, things like that. You can apply for help from the Fuel Fund. So it's BGE territory is kind of like your gas and electric bill, but the rest of the state is just bulk fuel. And these are the two ways that you can apply to Fuel Fund. You can call them or apply online. Next slide. 2-in-1 is a great resource. If you've kind of run out of options, it might be a good place to call. They keep a pretty up-to-date database of the resources throughout the state, both health and human service related. So even if we're talking about something outside of utilities, if we're talking about paying your rent or mortgage, it's also a great place to call. They don't provide financial assistance, but again, they can tell you kind of the churches in your area that might be able to help, or any other nonprofits that might be able to help that maybe we at the state have not referred you to. And these are the ways that you can connect with them. They are available 24/7, 365. Next slide. I wanted to talk about a medical certification form. This is another consumer right that people don't always know about. If there is a serious medical illness in your home, or maybe you just came home with a newborn, or you have a hospital bed, or you use an oxygen tank, something like that, something that's going to require power in your home for the health and safety of your family, you would likely qualify for a medical certification form. And again, I put the link to the form in the chat box with my contact information, but I can also send this to you. It's basically a form that says, I need power for the health and safety of my home, and it must be signed by your doctor, a physician's assistant, or a registered nurse. And when you get that signed, you can turn it in to your utility. And there are a lot of really important benefits with that. Now, if your lights are off, it really doesn't do much. It's more about when the lights are still on. But if there was a turn off notice, it can extend it by 30 days. And there are extra protections for you in place with that medical certification on file with your utility. And if there's a planned power outage in your neighborhood, as an example, they would typically reach out to you to make sure there's a plan in place. So it's a good thing to have on file with your utility if you think you might qualify. Next slide. Weather restrictions. So I know we're coming out of winter, so it's a little, I think, less upfront for folks. But I think some people think that because it's so cold or so hot that the utility won't shut your utilities off, and that's not true. Now there are some restrictions, and I want to talk about those right now, but I wouldn't count on them, and they're really not meant to keep people on through the winter, to keep people on through the hot summer months. So there's a rule that basically states that I'll use the winter, because we're still technically in the winter months, November 1 through March 31st. If the temperature is going to be 32 degrees or below for 3 consecutive days, then they can't turn you off on that day. So if the temperature is going to be 95 degrees or above for the next 3 consecutive days, they can't shut you off. So as an example, I have kind of this little chart over here because it's hard to understand. So if it's if it's Monday and it's forecasted to be 95 today, 98 Tuesday, and 98 or 97 on Wednesday, you're safe on Monday. Tuesday you wake up, so does the utility company, and it's going to be 98, 97, 99, you're safe on Tuesday. On Wednesday, it's 97, 94, and then 100. You could technically be shut off on Wednesday, because on Thursday it drops below the 95 degrees. So again, not something that I would count on, but it is a protection that does exist. Next slide. This is information on how to file a complaint against your utility company or supplier. I'm running out of time, so I'm not going to go into it, but if you do have one of those complaints, or if you have questions or on how to make a complaint or need help, give us a call. But these are the 2 kind of straightforward ways to make those complaints. Next slide. And then lastly, I just wanted to talk about the Affordable Connectivity Program. It replaced the emergency broadband benefit. This is to help lower the cost of internet service to your home. It is $30 off your internet services per month, or $100 off of a singular device. This is not an exhaustive list of who qualifies, but if you click that apply for assistance, or even if you just Google Affordable Connectivity Program, you'll find that information. I think I'm on my last slide. And this is just, again, our contact information if you need it. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Brandy. We are close to being out of time. It's close to 1 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and run this for an extra 10 minutes so we can get a few questions in from the chat. And so if the presenters, if you guys want to go ahead and turn your cameras on, I'm going to just take a few. And again, I'm not going to be able to get through all these. Another thing, presenters, if you can go ahead and at the bottom, basically in the chat, if you can go ahead and put your email, your agency, your name and your email. That way, those of you who we can't get to your questions, you can grab that information and go ahead and send them a question. I'm also going to put my email address in here too. So just in case you didn't get one of these other ones, you can send your question to me and I can forward it on. All right, so that's patricia.dorn@maryland.gov. And let's get started with a few of these questions. This looks like for Habitat for Humanity. They're asking about Talbot County eligibility as well as Worcester County eligibility. For the
Yeah,
programs.
so our program is specifically for PG County and Montgomery County because that's the funding comes from the counties. We're also specifically for this location. So there are affiliates in different parts of the state. And you could probably find that information with a quick Google search on Habitat for Humanity in my area.
Thanks. There's another question. Would central AC be available for someone with respiratory issues?
Yes.
All right, thanks. What percentage of applicants receive funding?
Yeah, so we have our actual applications and then we have our inquiries. So anyone could submit an inquiry online. So I want to distinguish that from receiving an application. So when folks receive an application, I'd say like 90% of folks get some type of home repair work done.
All right, thanks. And someone's asking if the slides will be available after the presentation. The slides will be available on our website. Yes. What about our driveway repairs considered cosmetic? Are basement floors classified as general home repair?
So again, we would look through this through the lens of health and safety. So if there's a trip hazard or a fall hazard, it's something that we would address. But if it's cosmetic, like you don't like the color of your tiles, that's not something we would address.
Got it. What about the removal of old oil tanks that are no longer functional? Are there special environmental concerns for this?
Yeah, we have a contractor who specifically removes oil tanks.
Thanks. Is there any information on third-party energy service? They are usually telling clients that they would help them lower their energy bills, but usually increase it due to extra fees. Does anybody want to answer that? I can't, sorry, I don't know who it's actually directed to.
I can at least speak to that. I would say, first of all, probably contact our office. It's likely when, so there's some rules around third-party suppliers and retail energy suppliers that apply here. And some of those things include deceptive marketing practices. And so when you come across those deceptive marketing practices, like we promise that the cost of your energy will be cheaper than what you're currently paying, you can file a complaint and either A, get out of that contract without penalty, and then also B, and probably more important on the larger scale, is that the Public Service Commission, who are the folks that kind of regulate both the bigger monopoly utilities as well as the retail suppliers, they keep track of these types of things, and each of these people are licensed, so they keep track of these complaints, and actions can be taken kind of when they look at the year and see like who's getting all these complaints and who's consistently we're hearing the same things about. So it is so important to make those complaints because they are looked at. And so if you want to learn more information, please feel free to contact me, or when you get those slides, you can directly file a complaint with the Public Service Commission.
Thanks so much. The next question, the budget billing requirements end up for me making my budgeting process off due to the BGE lag in data. What can be done to help the consumer who's able to budget have more real-time information? Is there anyone who can answer that one?
So I feel like my answer isn't great, and I was sort of hoping someone else would answer, but I do hear what you're saying about budget billing, because we hear about this often, is that I think in theory, it's like a very good idea, but I think in practice, it ends up really surprising people. When their bill comes, when it's called a true up, especially like towards the end, when you think that you've been kind of on track and paying your budget billing each week or each month, and then at the end you owe $700 more than you think that you should. I know that there are some apps through your utility company that actually allow you to keep track of actual usage all the time, and when you're going over that, So I feel like this is sort of a generic answer, and I apologize, but I actually would reach out to your utility and ask them that question, because many of them do have, and I don't think they're. I didn't even know about it until I asked this exact same question to my personal utility. A lot of them have these kind of apps available that help you kind of check on your actual usage as it's happening.
Thanks. The next question, water programs. Where should clients send applications? OHEP or DHS office? Oh, it looks like Lauren did answer that. They can be sent into either office with locations listed on our website. That is answered in the chat. We have I have a comment here from April Patterson. My name is April Patterson. I am the Community Outreach Coordinator for the Civics Works Energy Programs. Our goal is to provide families cost-effective energy upgrade opportunities for improving the comfort, safety, and efficiency of their home. Our Project Lightbulb program is a quick home energy checkup where an energy advisor will come to the home and install energy-saving items. Families can receive up to 14 LED light bulbs, low flow shower heads for all their bathrooms, faucet aerators, power strip cord, smoke detectors, and carbon monoxide detector, along with pipe wrap insulation. This is a quick and easy energy upgrade that will help folks save money on their energy bill and reduce their energy use. This program is free for all Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and Harford County residents with no income requirements. That's going to be, the information for this is in the chat. It's A. Peterson at civicworks.com. If you're interested, 410-929-6084. That's her phone number. And that information is in the chat as well. There's also some information. Hope has a small grant that offers utility assistance for eligible households that are 80% of AMI, up to $500 for past due gas, water, and electric. That's for those who don't receive ERAP in Prince George's County. And her email is in there as well. That's hope@hopefinancial.org. So hope@hopefinancial.org. I appreciate everyone's time today. We do have to wrap it up. Thanks for all the good questions. Again, if you have questions for any of the presenters, you can grab their email addresses, send them those questions, or you can send one to me, patricia.dorn@maryland.gov, and I can go ahead and forward it on, whichever works for you. So again, thanks to everybody who attended this session today. There's going to be a brief survey in the chat if you're interested. That's just us trying to get some feedback as to, what you would be looking for from us in terms of presentations in the future. I just want to say we do have a few upcoming events. On March 16th, we have a Lunch with Mia No Surprises Act, where we talk about a new federal law. I just want to say that this is for healthcare providers. So those who provide healthcare, we've already done our Lunch with Mia No Surprises Act for consumers, and that is recorded, and you can find that on our website. On March 22nd, we're going to be talking about the Medicare supplement plans and that information as well. You can find that flyer on our website. And on March 29th, we're going to be doing a presentation about life insurance. And definitely there should be a link in the chat where you can sign up to find out about all of these upcoming events, as well as events that we attend, presentations, and things like that. So with that, I just want to say thank you for everyone who joined today. Again, grab those email addresses from the chat if you think that you're going to have questions going forward in the future. And as well, if you want to answer the survey, we do appreciate that. And that, yeah, the survey's there now. So thank you everyone so much. Have a great day, and we hope to see you at events in the future with the Maryland Insurance Administration. And thanks to all the presenters as well. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye all.